whenever I get her, she'll be Thank God.
Next one.
Welcome to the Charter Township of Comstock Board Meeting, July 20th, 2026. This meeting is now called to order. May we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to add a Clean Earth Service Agreement to the agenda after the EPS security update under Supervisor. And with that, I'd be looking for a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
I move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Public comment. A citizen may state their name and address and may only speak one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor, and no other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you'll be making statements to the board without discussion from board members. But you're welcome to make an appointment with the supervisor to discuss your comments further. The contact information is located by the door. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Tammy Keeler. Appreciate what the fire department's doing and all, but where do you guys think you're going to come up with this money for that new fire department when at the Parks Department the other night at the meeting, you were trying to figure out how to get funds for a security guard for the Campbell Lake? You got to combine them all in order to get one thing done. So where's all this funding going to come from? Taxpayers can't cover it all. You know, and you guys just keep on giving and giving and giving. We don't need a new fire department, to tell you the truth. The other ones are just fine, in my opinion. I just don't get it. You guys paid out $500,000 to the old superintendent. Now you're struggling. You're going to bankrupt Comstock. You're not going to help us. We're not going to have nothing if this keeps up. Brett Padgett said the other day, where are we going to get this money from? Where are you going to get this money from? Take it away from all of you, which you don't make that much anyway. It's not making no sense, you guys. And yes, we do need police funding, more of it, because we do need more protection in Comstock. Somebody tried to break into my car the other night. You know, like I said, I'm just wondering where you're going to get all this money. You guys just keep on throwing it out the door. Can't be doing that to the people, the citizens of Comstock. Sure, we need the fire department. Sure, we need this and that, but not that bad. You got a good firemen and stuff right here, but you don't need that fire department. Like I said. And the sheriff's fund, that should go out because we do need more protection around Comstock. But you guys just keep on giving and giving to the fire department. Why? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lynette McCurley, Susan Avenue. I have a suggestion for some more transparency in the minutes that we receive. An example I saw was in the newspaper, so agreed it's a different venue, but they reported that the city commission meeting, the citizens' comments, that multiple residents stepped up to the mic to complain about how the police handled enforcement at a party in the city park. That helps us as citizens know that what's been spoken about before in minutes and citizens' comments, to know that it's been brought up 10 times, it's been brought up 5 times. With the way our minutes are now, there's no way for us to keep track as citizens as how often it's been addressed to you on the board. And I also wonder, well, I don't wonder, I'm pretty sure I know why, the board doesn't make comments back during board member comments about citizens' comments and questions. And I'm not exactly sure why you're not doing that, because if citizens were to argue with you back, Ben stops them. So I don't understand why as citizens, if we've already spent time to come.
Thank you, ma'am. Jason, would you mind the green button on the bottom of the microphone there turned off? You may have to hold it a little longer.
Better.
Thank you.
All right. My name is Jason Tollers, and I am a resident of Comstock. I believe that protecting a person's right to freedom of speech does not stop when the majority, the privileged, still have that right. I believe it is our duty as citizens to always strive for the maximum and provide accommodations for those who may not be privileged, as the bulk of us enjoy the privileges the bulk of us enjoy. The board made a decision to limit first public comment to agenda items only. This decision directly impacts those who may have disabilities or needs that prohibit them from sitting through a long board meeting in order to be able to comment on matters that they find important but are not on the township's agenda. It has also led to needless bickering back and forth between board members and crowd as to what constitutes an agenda item. This decision was made out of fear and malice, and it was dressed up with a call for decorum to justify the justify what demonstrably has been a terrible decision. It has damaged the township's ability to engage in necessary discourse, a discourse that many of the sitting board members here refuse to participate in, and I urge this board to reverse their decision and restore open comments to this township's meetings. We cannot use excuses like, well, they can just email us their comments, when the only barrier here to restoring our rights to freedom of speech is your own sensitivities. Changing the rules has not healed the rift on this board. Changing the rules has not reduced the temperature in this very room. All it has done is to show that when the chips are down and their constituents need them, this board will duck and cover under their desks and make up rules to protect them from facing their own growing challenges in their district. Fear has been running rampant across this board and township. A series of troubling events has led to emergency meetings and flurries of Facebook posts. It is this fear, in this fear, there has been call for more policing across Comstock. While I sympathize with those who have endured such traumatic events, Dakota himself adopting a sense of humor to defend what clearly is weighing heavily on his conscience. I urge us all to exercise caution and not let fear drive us when making policy decisions. As per Dakota's own testimony, the unhoused crisis in Comstock is growing. More policing will not solve this problem. What the unhoused need is housing and social services. This board has an opportunity to do so much more for our community. We should be addressing this crisis by reviewing our zoning plans and adopting new policies that encourage the construction of more affordable housing. We should be seeking out grant opportunities to build public subsidized housing, and we could be looking for rent control policies to help keep tenants in their homes instead of on the streets. You cannot police your way out of people who are desperate to find a place to sleep and who have not had a decent meal in over a week. We all deserve, as human beings, a place to live and food to eat. I want Comstock to show our neighbors that we believe and fight for the right to shelter and the right for food. Please consider this when making your policy decisions in the future.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, I'm Emily Murphy. I had hoped to speak about this last meeting on 7/6, but because of recent restriction on the first citizen comment to agenda items, I was unable to talk about the fact that the superintendent had just been paid out $424,993.25 of taxpayer money to literally go do nothing. He is getting that absurd amount of money to purposely not have anything to do with Comstock Township. The meeting on 7/6 went until roughly 10 p.m. before citizen comment came back around. These restrictions on agenda items are a direct measure to restrict the citizens' ability to address concerns. I understand the restriction was put in place to purportedly streamline meetings, but either way, this sure feels like an attempt to stifle the citizens. Now that the superintendent's severance payout is in the agenda packet, I can speak about it during this restricted citizen comment time. I wanted to confirm that his payout was $424,993.25. I'm trying to connect the dots from his massive payout that he negotiated to the value Comstock Township received from spending $424,993.25. I am hoping those who voted to terminate Scott Hess without cause can explain the decision they made. A couple of board members had mentioned previously that the residents called for this. They were just doing what the residents called for. It is interesting that when the residents called for emergency sirens, those same board members refused to act, even though sirens were cheaper than the superintendent's payout. Scott Hess was no longer interested in being a Comstock Township employee. That was clear for a while. He was paid gobs of money to essentially quit. As our energy bills, grocery bills, transportation costs, etc. are skyrocketing, I can't help but think about how $424,993.25 could really give someone a leg up in this economy. I am genuinely asking those who voted to terminate the superintendent without cause, please let us know why you felt that was the best decision for Comstock Township. I would love to understand. It can feel dismissive as a resident, and I have to hope that is not your intention. I also think both opportunities for citizen comment should be open to what the residents deem appropriate so their concerns are acknowledged by the powers that be. Also on tonight's agenda is a proposal to renew the law enforcement millage because the current millage will expire. This new proposal levy will raise an estimated $813,904 in the first year. Scott has walked away with a little less than half of what Comstock Township residents will pay for the first year of this new contract. I look forward to learning more behind the decision to terminate Scott Hess without cause. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Kevin Thompson, Deputy Chief of Comstock Fire. I also live at 3921 North 33rd. I want to start off by thanking the board for its continued support of the Station 93 project. Getting to this point has taken a lot of work, and the board's support has allowed the project to keep moving forward, including most recently the approval of the bond financing for the station. Tonight, the decision before you is about who we trust to build the station. The committee that we put together did not just look at the bid totals and pick a company. We used the same evaluation form. Each of us used the same evaluation form and scoring method for every proposal. We looked at experience, past public projects, and the proposed plan for completing the work, subcontractors' equipment, and the overall strength of each proposal. Price was part of the process. It was not ignored. The bid amount was compared to the qualification score to determine which proposal gave the township the best overall value. CSM received the highest qualification score and the best adjusted price under that method. That matters because the lowest number at the start does not always mean the best deal in the end. A contractor still has to manage the job, coordinate the work, keep the project moving, and handle problems when they come up. The board has already shown its commitment to the station. Now we need to protect that investment by choosing the contractor that performed the best through the review process. We reviewed the proposals, used the same standards for every contractor, and followed the process laid out before us. I support awarding the project to CSM. I believe they give us the strongest proposal and the best for Comstock Township. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mike Muehlman. I'm the Assistant Chief with Comstock Fire. I also live at 4859 Wild Meadow. First, again, I'd like to thank you guys for your commitment to this project. I believe this decision reflects a commitment to safety and the future of Comstock Township. As you move forward in this next phase, I encourage you to look beyond simply selecting the lowest construction bid. As taxpayers, we all appreciate the responsible spending, but being fiscally responsible doesn't always mean choosing the cheapest option. It means choosing the bid that provides the best overall value for our community. When we're building a public safety facility that is expected to serve this township for the next 40, 50, maybe even 60 years, quality, experience, and reliability matter. A contractor with proven track record of delivering projects on time, staying within budget, and standing behind their work may ultimately save taxpayers more money than a lower bid that leads to delays, change orders, or costly repairs down the road. We've all heard that saying, you get what you pay for. While that isn't always true, neither is the assumption that the lowest price is the best value. The real question is which contractor is most likely to deliver a high-quality station that meets the township's needs and protects the investments we've already committed to making. I encourage the board to carefully evaluate each proposal based on qualifications, experience, quality of work, and long-term value, not just a number at the bottom of the page. As a resident and taxpayer, I'd rather see us make the right investment today than spend more time fixing problems tomorrow. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your continued commitment to the residents of Comstock.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike Flick, 6944 Ringling. I'm a 12-year firefighter with Comstock. I'm a lieutenant there. I'd like to thank the Township Board and the community for their continued support of the Comstock Fire Department. I've been a firefighter with Comstock for the past 12 years, and during that time, I've seen firsthand the value of having a staff fire department. Quick response times, highly trained personnel, and access to the latest firefighting tactics all contribute to better service and increased safety for our community. I can envision a future where Comstock Fire Department becomes fully staffed with full-time personnel. As Chief Beauchamp plans for the new fire station, the future should be taken into consideration. Features such as living quarters, sleeping areas, and shower facilities will become essential as the department continues to grow and evolve. I can assure you that Chief Beauchamp puts a great deal of thought into how the department funds are spent. When officers request new equipment or outside training opportunities, we must demonstrate the value and benefit of those investments. Chief Beauchamp has also implemented a 20-year replacement schedule for major equipment, helping ensure that costly apparatus and equipment can be replaced responsibly without burdening the taxpayer with additional taxes. The training tower that will be attached to the new station will be a tremendous asset. Currently, most of our training is conducted in a single room that we constructed ourselves. While we have access to the training facility on Nazareth Road, scheduling time there can be difficult and the cost can be significant. Having our own training facility will allow us to conduct more frequent and advanced training exercises. many of which are not possible at our current location. The new station location will also improve our ability to serve the community. Its proximity to 35th Street will provide quicker access to both the northern and southern portions of our township, resulting in faster emergency response times. Thank you again for your continued support for the Comstock Fire Department and for your investment in the safety of our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further citizen comments this evening?
Hello, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Kucinich. I live at 2948 Casper Street. I'm here to speak on the traffic calming that is supposedly scheduled to start soon. It was supposed to happen last summer. I started this bit of fiasco, if you will, 9 years ago when somebody blasted through my privacy fence coming from Borges at 100 miles an hour. Every single neighbor I've spoken to, which I've spoken to them all, down Casper, Pristine, Borges, all of them, at least 3 times due to different things I've had to have signed, different things I've had to have people come speak at, different meetings. They all have a crazy story. You might say that's a one-off, Elizabeth. Definitely not. They all have crazy stories where people end up in their yards. So, needless to say, the road commission has decided to move forward with Casper Street speed humps and then the traffic circle pretty much directly in front of my yard, which is fine. I'll take it. I'll take it, whatever I can get at this point. I mean, I've been ignored by them. I've had to call the state representatives. I've had to, you know, get up their booties, if you will. So, with that said, Kalamazoo dragged their feet, the township. They didn't communicate. I called the supervisor at one time and just asked him how hard it was to pick up a phone. He didn't like that, but you know what? It's true. Like, all he had to do was call Scott, because Scott was saying, well, we're waiting on Kalamazoo to talk to us about this. Okay, well, I'll call Kalamazoo. I will go there. I will talk to them, which I did. And they were like, yeah, we'll move forward with that, but at any rate, they didn't. So Casper Street it is, and we'll take it. It will affect the whole neighborhood. It will affect traffic volume. It will affect traffic speeding. I understand they're speeding on every street, but this has been in excess, and the road commission has found that through their tests. They did 2 separate tests where they had their employees stand at corners of the streets to count traffic, to count how many times each car individually entered and exited the neighborhood, and then speed counters, traffic counters, the whole thing. So they have determined during their testing, the grading scales, we are far above what is okay or acceptable, if you will. So with that being said, they did send out construction packets saying that it was going to start, so I'm not really sure why we're having it approved by the board, like, again. I feel like it's being approved again. So, yeah, we just want to move forward and keep our neighborhood safe, and that's all any of us really want. I'm here speaking on behalf of all of the neighbors because I spoke to everyone, and they're supposed to be here, but blah, 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 life, da-da-da. So I'm here to speak for all of them, I guess, as I have this whole 9 years. So I will keep doing that. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Moore. I live on Pristine Avenue, and I'm here in support of the traffic calming measures that are in place for Casper. I'm disappointed that the city of Kalamazoo, or like Kalamazoo Township, didn't support their end to put speed humps on Pristine. As a resident on Pristine, I've had my mailbox taken out. Every winter, multiple people drive through my yard because they're going through the curve from Casper onto Pristine entirely too fast. So I'm just here to say, as a citizen in the Rose Blossom Trail neighborhood, that I appreciate the efforts that have been made to try to put up some traffic calming devices and obstacles. I hope it is extended to include Pristine in the future, just so that our neighborhood can try to be safer. We're highly a pedestrian neighborhood, And it's unfortunate that every time I'm in my front yard, I'm bracing myself when I hear cars racing down the street, and I'm always anticipating someone taking out someone else's mailbox. And I've had a neighbor who had someone drive through their yard and take out their fence and the light pole. So hopefully this construction will begin soon. I know we aren't fans of construction. They're a necessary evil. So I'm just hoping that we can get this in place so that the neighborhood can be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there any further comments? If not, we'll be moving along to announcements for departments, boards, and commissions. Mr. McBride?
Good evening. Thank you for having me this evening. I'm Sean McBride, Director of Metro, and I want to just give a quick brief update on public transit services and the millage that will be on the ballot in August. And first, I want to thank Clerk Beauchamp and Township Board Member Amos for their long-standing commitment to the boards of KCTA and CCTA and the local advisory committee. It's quite a time commitment. Mobility solutions for all is what Metro has really changed our focus on. We know that everyone's transportation needs are different. The places they need to get to, jobs, schools, services, all are different at different times of day, and so we're really trying to work on providing options for people. Last year we did just under 2 million rides. We're seeing significant growth so far this year. Gas prices, as they've escalated the past several months, have really increased ridership on the fixed route bus system, which is a positive service to the community. And since our inception of providing public transit in 1967 as the city of Kalamazoo, and now the Central County Transportation Authority, there's been 127 million rides provided on public transit. Our biggest service is the Metro bus system. There's several routes that service Comstock Township. We just made some adjustments to better serve the areas around Gull Road. And so those just took effect today. Our East Main routes going from downtown out East Main and up to Gull Road to service the retail centers out there. Last year we did 1.7 million rides on the fixed route bus system, and that's about 4,000 rides per day. Metro Connect is our other large key service. That's a lot of systems, towns call it dial-a-ride. Last year we did about 150,000 rides, and we're seeing over a 10% increase in ridership so far this year. In Comstock Township last year, there's about 6,130 rides provided to Comstock Township residents. And the greatness about this service, it's available to for anyone to go anywhere in the county. And it doesn't matter who you are, where you live, you can go anywhere, anytime that we're open. 7 days a week within the county. And we also serve the VA hospital in Battle Creek. And it's also affordable. It's $3 or $4 if you're a senior citizen or individual with a disability, and $12 per trip for non-seniors and non-individuals with disabilities. One of the partnerships that we just started is with the United Way of South Central Michigan. It's to provide medical transportation. One of the barriers to successful medical outcomes is being able to have reliable transportation to get to those services. So how we're structuring this is we're using the grant awarded from Southwest, from the United Way, is to provide free fares to individuals that participate in the program. And the other piece of the program is that we're meeting with the medical service providers within the county, so Bronson and Beacon and so forth, and telling them about how the services are, what services are available, and then they can help guide their patients to those services. Metro Share is our third service. That's a van sharing program that we do with nonprofit agencies. They can have access to those vans for free, and we train their drivers on how to use the vans. MetroLink is our newest service. That was started in April of 2024. We have 3 zones. The east zone is significantly Comstock Township, goes into Parchment and northern parts of Kalamazoo Township and the city of Kalamazoo. We're working on expanding the boundaries to cover pretty much all of Comstock Township, and that should be in effect within the next several weeks. So that's a affordable option. It's $1.50 per trip, and it works like Uber, where you use a phone app or a call in and can schedule a trip from point to point or connect into the fixed route bus system. And we've had significant growth on this service. We're averaging over 10,000 rides per month moving forward here, and we have 800 individual users of that service. And I always like to talk about our value-added services to the community. We do partner with the Emergency Operations Center in Kalamazoo County. And this winter, we provided 1,200 rides to connect individuals to the warming centers throughout the community. And that was in January and late January and early February. And those are the type of things that we do to see where we can help fill in transportation needs to the community. Coming up on August 4th is the KCTA millage. This millage is for the whole county, and it funds the Metro Connect and Metro Share services specifically. The millage request is for 0.36 mils. It's a slight increase from the previous millage rate that's being extended, and it will be for 7 years through 2033. And then just last year, the CCTA millage was approved in November. So this will be on the ballot. If anyone has any questions about this millage, please feel free to contact me. I will leave information on the counter there, if that's okay, about the millage, and please feel free to reach out. And thank you for your time tonight.
Any board member questions? Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Be moving along to the consent agenda, looking for approval of budget adjustments, bills payable July 21st, 2026, and meeting minutes from July 6th, 2026.
Move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support. Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Trustee Pratt. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving along through presentations, through business and into fire and rescue, new station 9-3 construction bid approval request.
All right, good evening. We had a pretty healthy packet for the board to consider, I would say. I did try to streamline a little bit, as I mentioned, to the base of the proposal versus getting all the nitty-gritty paperwork. So we do have a couple updates, and I will, or I should say changes to it, and I will go through that as we get to those portions. But we are recommending approval for the Fire Station 9-3 construction bid for the CSM Group. This includes 2 bid alternatives, including a lightning protection system for $60,000 and a glazed concrete masonry unit, or CMU, for $63,000. And that's as indicated on the finished room schedule. We do the update to the construction cost. I noted to be $11,008,057, and we would like approval up to $11,146,057. And part of that is 2 discoveries this happened this afternoon. Trustee Cherry found one with some bid bond wording, as well as our architect, and Brian will be able to explain that in a moment here. There's some wiggle room, that's why we put an up to it. So the construction bids were received from CSM Group, Miller Davis, Callaward Group, Cornerstone Construction, Schweitzer, and Carbon 6. The construction bid scoring group consisted of Brian Kane, JPR, our architect that we've been using throughout this, Katie Bush from the Parks Department, myself, Kevin Thompson, our Deputy Fire Chief, Mike Muhlman, our Assistant Fire Chief, Carrie Beauchamp, our Executive Administrative Assistant, and Matt Watts as a Technical Advisor. The evaluation committee utilized a standardized rating scoring sheet consisting of experience and plan and equipment questionnaire. Extensive reference checks were conducted for the bidders with the best scores. So that was CSM, Callaward, Miller Davis, and Cornerstone. So a little methodology on how we came to the scores. The adjusted price on the score sheets is the total bid with accepted alternates divided by the weighted score. The adjusted price provides the best overall value to the taxpayers. The lower the adjusted price, the better. Each scoring sheet includes a methodology explained as well. So part of that methodology is we had several lines that we felt were important. We gave each line with that group a rating of -2 through 2 as indicated on the scoring sheet. So the weighted score, the scores were for each factor were multiplied by the assessed weighted value provided in the weight column to produce a weighted score. The weighted score will then be tabulated at the bottom of the score sheet as the weighted composite score. The adjusted price will be determined by dividing the respondent's total bid price by the committee's weighted composite score. A score of 0 or negative would have disqualified any proposals. We didn't have that. The respondent with the lowest adjusted price, providing the best value to the taxpayers, will be recommended to the Township Board. CSM had that, so that's why we're recommending them. The Township is not required to accept the recommended nor the lowest price proposal and may reject any or all proposals. Township Board will make the, if we make a rejection, we're going to follow up in writing to the bidders. So, the adjustment for the construction cost, I believe I mentioned, was up to $11,146,057 for CSM Group. We did have 2 pre-bid meetings. We opened the bids on Monday, July 13th at 4 p.m. We were excited and very fortunate to have 6 bids, all allowing us to stay with what's been in our proposed budget from the start. We evaluated bids on July 14th. We called on references for the rest of July 14th and July 15th for the top 4 scores. And that was, again, Calaward, CSM, Miller Davis, and Cornerstone. We added reference score on July 16th in the morning and attached it to the board packet. Brian, would you like to emphasize the methodology and how we got that to kind of talk about the lowest bid and why we use this scoring scheme a little bit, or answer some deeper questions potentially?
Hi, my name is Brian Kane. I'm the architect. And yes, for this project, I used a similar scoring matrix our firm had used somewhat recently for Middlebury down in Indiana, where we put a rating to, as Chief mentioned, methodology. Subcontractors used previous experience, previous public works experience, and where those technically are subjective numbers, we felt those were fair, and scores or weights we had used previously. And so that's how we had to give some sort of concrete number to some subjective items like references, et cetera. And using one we'd used in the past seemed, the most reasonable way to do that.
Anything on the scoring sheet was what we requested from the bidders too. We didn't venture out.
Oh, right. And everything on the bid sheet was what was requested of the bidders. We did discover a correction that didn't, at the end of the day, change the ultimate score. With CSM Group, they had voluntarily provided an alternate that all the other contractors had committed to their base bid, and we cleared that up today, added to their original base bid $138,000. It increased their base bid price. When we factored that into their weighted score, again, they were the lowest score.
I know it's a lot of information. Is there any questions that I can help with now, or in particular Roy Bryan's up here that he could help answer?
Trustee Cherry, did you have anything?
You said they were the low score?
Sorry, the winning score would be the lowest score.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Versus, sorry to clear that up.
The adjusted, yeah.
Yeah, the adjusted.
As far as the committee, could you mention, I know there was a couple of them that I picked up on, but what were particularly their areas of expertise and I guess why were they chosen to be on the committee?
Sure. Basically what, and part of it for after this portion, if we move forward tonight, we'd like to continue with our architect. So it's a start to finish. So we have the same architect there in the field. So the next item of business, contingent on approval of the construction, is to enter into phase 3 architectural services. So our architect, start to finish, knows process, been exposed to them, and comes in, very unbiased. Katie Bush has been involved not in process or projects this big, but has been involved in projects, including grant projects to do it. We thought it was a diverse mechanism, includes a little bit of the Township Hall. We did weigh the fire department in heavy because we've been communicating with other departments on how their experiences have been, what things to look for. And then we brought in Matt Watts as well because he did not bid on this project, did not want to, but has been an advocate. It kind of full circle, that's who built our original Station 9-3. And offered his services, including an estimator, to review the proposals and make suggestions to it. So his aspect wasn't on filling out an evaluation sheet, but was to enlighten, if you will, if there's any gaps or communications with the panel.
And then the other individuals, Matt, Katie.
Brian, Katie, Matt, and fire department members, executive staff of the fire department.
And Brian is engineering.
Brian
right?
Kane's
yeah,
architect,
okay.
and the engineering interface, I would say.
And then how many members of the fire department?
There was 4 members of the fire department.
Trustee Amos, any questions?
No, I'm good.
Trustee Pratt?
None. Thank you.
Clerk Beauchamp? Trustee MacGyver? Microphone.
Maybe we haven't got that far in the presentation yet, but the burning question in my mind is this going to cost the residents more money on their taxes and their property?
Compared to nothing, over the course of time, it would. From the start, what we have vowed to do was to not propose an increase in the assessment rate, the fire department capital assessment rate. And as of the last, the meeting when the bond was approved to move forward, we had laid out our 15-year capital improvement plan and interfaced it with the steps on the bond. And we actually found that continuing the fire department's assessment rate as it is with a very modest increase, and I wish that Brett was here right now because he got those words, but rate of return, a very modest rate of return on it, is that we could continue all fire department projects over the course of the 15-year bond and not have to propose an increase in the fire department capital assessment. So if it wasn't there, obviously that fee wouldn't be there, but there's no increase proposed in it. And we looked into things, parking lots, roofs, radio towers, obviously small vehicles, large vehicles, anything that we would have to put towards that. Year 3 of the bond is going to be a clear point of moving forward. Do we stay on that pace or actually start lowering the fire department's assessment rate? Because we're going to start accumulating a significant amount of funds. So year 3 of the bond, I have it down to, talk as part of the budget process. Are we continuing this, knowing that year 8 we can start paying off the bond early? Or do we want to continue the life of the 15-year bond and lower the fire department's capital assessment, proposing lowering? Obviously, the board makes those decisions. So since then, even, we have been successful, like one of the line items here, and I should have brought that up first, because bring up the kudos first and the big stuff later, but I probably screwed up on my agenda here. We're getting a mobile barrier, and that was on our plan, and we can take that off. We have several opportunities for our self-contained breathing apparatus, which is $850,000 to nearly $1 million based on current quotes, and we believe we have an alternate fund or 2 to help pay for that. So I believe that we've laid out the worst case scenario and that we're not going to propose over the course of the 15-year bond, an increase in fire department capital assessment. I think we're going to be talking the other way, going, can we lower it or pay this bond off, or both?
That question a little early, but it seems to be pretty important to everybody, and I'm a resident as well. And I think you, from what I've put together, you guys have really researched this pretty well. And it's almost too late to change your mind because you think you're going to save some money and you're not. You're going to come in about the same, correct?
Well, with the project overall, we've been in line, or there's been increases because we did use Redstone Architects prior to Brian with JPR, and the costs had gone up, understandably, with market value. And over the course of this, about a year that we've been working on this?
Slightly over a year.
Slightly over a year, we did have to make some last-minute potential modifications to be sure we stayed in budget because the construction costs are still going up. So what we did in this sheet, not to get too far ahead, but I think it's a great segue in, is there was 2 alternates proposed to ensure we stayed under this advertised budget. And then one was the training tower, and one was the apparatus bay 5. And because I believe that the estimators that was working with Brian were spot on what's going on in the market, we didn't have to eliminate those, but we were already preparing to make sure that this project continues. We might have to eliminate some things. Go a little deeper in the conversation is that when we were getting lined up and close to getting our bond proposal information, and we found that based on what the estimators were saying, is that we had to make some cuts. So we did some things like made the hallways a little bit narrower, rearranged some offices, took some other alternatives, already had to make some concessions early on, because over the course when we started moving this, even working with JPR, till now the prices had gone up, which is understood. I mean, that's unfortunately what happens. So I think that waiting on it, I don't think we're going to see a better outcome by any means. I think things have stabilized a little bit since the COVID days. I think that there's some bidders in here that are eager to get to work and stay within on our timeline. So if we're going to do the project, the big if, then I think this is the time to do it.
Thank you, Chief. I appreciate the explanation.
I'd like to make one other point too, Trustee McIver. We have not interjected in full the cost of selling current 9.3 and applying that towards either other capital purchases or obviously, most importantly, this bond paid off earlier. So we do have in motion get a market values, but until we got to that certain point, we are sincerely planning for the worst case scenario. So if we come back and go, hey, we move 9.3, we sell the current one, which is totally the plan, we can apply that to our capital plan to hopefully pay down this bond or make other purchases, whatever it is, to keep this ball moving even quicker.
Treasurer Bloomfield,
No, not this time.
anything else for us, Chief?
Well, I think those updates that we had based on the scoring sheet, so I'm not sure what page it is in your packet, but if you look at, what do we call this one, Brian? This without the bid alternatives?
Sorry, what do you?
I was going to get those updated numbers.
Oh, okay. We get the original bid tab and then the bid tab with the weighted scores, the adjusted price at the very far end of the right-hand side. For CSM Group, the total bid with accepted alternates, instead of $11,008,057, it should be $11,146,057. With their adjusted price, total bid weighted score ups them to $119,850, which is still, as you can see, the lowest, which would make them the highest in our mind.
Any board questions?
And Supervisor Martin, we did have I think the first score sheet did show everybody who their bids and their alternatives, and everybody within reason turned in everything that we requested.
Right.
Any of the things that had no on it were not deal breakers, and non-bid inclusion. We didn't ask for what Schweitzer had because they were the highest bid anyway, so we didn't move forward with them. And we did not hear back from Miller Davis on that, and Calaward the next day provided what they had not in the original bid, so it wasn't a deal breaker. If you see any ends in those columns, we were not concerned with those in the overall score sheets. And I wish I had your packet number so I could point you in the right direction there, but at this point, I'm happy to take on any other questions, concerns. I can go more in depth into it. I just want to get everybody at a comfortable place where they know what we're working with here.
One of the questions I had was in the weighted score, the contractors completed projects within the last 1 year. I'm curious of your perspective on that, of to why that's a factor.
To just any project within the last year? To see consistency and kind of basically workload. You know, too many projects, you know, that might be, well, it's, I think, just another way to get a good picture of kind of current activity with a particular firm.
Yeah, I've just seen sometimes one contractor gets associated with one really big project, so it might drop their number of projects down that year less, but that doesn't mean that they weren't generating revenue or being successful in the market. I was just curious of that.
Right, and I'd have to double check what the individual scores were, but I don't remember any particularly.
We use a multifaceted approach on that line. There was not only number of projects, but relative projects. So they have experience with municipalities. So a similar project, so we can look at some and go, well, what did you do there? And let's just say they build a big shed or something. Well, that's not really relative to what we're trying to do. You could probably stretch it, but if somebody had projects that were $500,000, let's say, and we're going at a pretty significant number here, is there relative to that? So then we even took it further as we had a reference list, and then now it's open information of what these projects were, so we did a little digging on the projects themselves. So we had a two-part reference list going on with what projects they provided. So a small list, but it has some substantial dollar amounts weighed, was several smaller versus a couple large, if that makes sense. So it was like a three-tiered approach to get that line number from the committee.
And then the other question that I had, and forgive me if I'm overlooking it, was availability and then timeliness of jobs completed, if that was any factor.
On the reference list, it was, some noted it, and then the reference list was within budget and within the timeline. And then if it wasn't, we did dig deeper, was it the fault of? Because there was one project in particular, I remember referencing, and I did several, that they made it very clear it wasn't their fault. They changed the plans, they weren't ready for it yet after all, so they delayed it, so they kind of validated it wasn't the firm's, construction firm's fault to that, so they explained it well and we documented accordingly.
And each contractor was specifically asked if they had any record in their really company history of any incomplete projects, and if so, why? And I don't believe any had any incomplete projects.
Thank you. Any board questions? Anything else for us?
No, if the board's comfortable, we'd entertain approval to move forward with our recommendation. If not, I can definitely fill in any gaps that there might be.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
I do have a question for you, Chief Beauchamp. With CSM, how many of the subcontractors are local contracts that will help our community?
So out of the clear ones on this, the 4 that we got references on, from the list that provided in our additional research, is both CSM and Calaward had over 90% local subcontractors. Cornerstone was in the top 4. And they had contractors listed from Grand Rapids to northern Indiana, so it was a little bit further out. But what was clearly in our mind, and a lot of the ones noted were Calaward and CSM were very in line with what we know as reputable contractors reputable local contractors over 90%.
Thank you.
Any further board questions? Be looking for a motion. And I don't know if we would, if we want to have any discussion before, being that we're not set in stone to have to follow a particular parliamentary procedure. Obviously, this is a big deal. We could be a little informal and have some discussion back and forth, or we could have discussion after a motion's on the table.
If I may, I would like to make a motion that the board accept the CSM Group as the primary contractor for the new station 9-3.
Motion. Now, do we want any of those secondary additions on that? Like the two bid alternatives? Chief, would you look for any of that on that motion, or you want that separate?
If we want to clarify, I think using the adjusted dollar amount that I mentioned would include the two alternates for the protection system and the glazed CMU. And then it will allow us to dig deeper on this bond issue. So it's an up to it, and obviously we're going to bring it down as much as we can. So if we go with CSM, the request from the Fire Department B is up to $11,146,057. And that would include any of the alternates.
Thank you. Sorry about that, Trustee McIver. Just want to make sure we get that in there if we want to amend that.
I guess I've lost my way here. It's just a second when I was trying to figure some numbers out. I was not listening terribly close, but you're considering rather than have one contractor like CSM is to have them divide the work up on the station between the CSM and somebody else that's on the bid list?
Chief, would you reiterate to Trustee McIver?
Sure. What we're trying to do is to get the general contractor to build, and then the general contractor will use their list of subcontractors to do anything from building walls, pouring concrete, electrical, plumbing, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So we would be entering into an agreement with one general contractor on it. So our recommendation would be to enter the contract with CSM.
And I think that's what I made the motion.
Yeah, and I believe that we were just looking for clarification on the dollar amount because there were some alternatives listed. So the clarification is the two alternatives that we'd like to go with is included in that price, and those are to include lightning protection system and provide a glazed CMU, as well as giving us some flexibility to work through the bond option that CSM had clarified. So if we go through those three alternatives, it'd be $11,146,057 up to.
Well, let me verbalizing it again, because I'm still struggling with this. Again, I apologize. But if what you're saying is preferred method with CSM being the contractor that will be hiring out the other subcontractors?
Yeah, basically we would just work with CSM to complete the job.
Yeah.
And then they would employ subcontractors as they need to fulfill the obligation of the contract. So we're just entering in the agreement with CSM.
All right. Would you like me to rephrase the motion or not?
Would that be more?
Chief, I just didn't know if you wanted to just mention CSM, including the two bid alternatives.
Sure.
If that would be appropriate.
The dollar amount's there, but whatever the board would feel, or even if legal, if we want to
Clerk
ensure we got it
Bochamp.
right, we could spell out those two alternatives and the updated cost.
You want to, I will.
I would like to withdraw my motion, please.
Thank you, Trustee McIver.
I'll make a motion that we recommend approval of Fire Station 9-3 construction bid from the CSM Group for up to $11,146,057.
Motion made by Clerk Bochamp,
Support.
supported by Trustee Cherry. Any board discussion? If there's no discussion, be a roll call vote.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
No.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Supervisor Martin?
No.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
All right, thank you. Next item we have is to enter into Phase 3 Architectural Services Agreement with JPR. That's what we've been using throughout. And for this portion would be included in our budget under the soft fees. It'd be for $111,760. And to kind of highlight what this would allow for is construction administration. It'd be every other week site visits, construction meetings, issuing field reports, provide clarification, interpretation of the contract documents for execution of work through contractor requests for information responses, issuing architect supplemental instructions as necessary, rendering written recommendations on matters in question between the owner and contractor relating to the execution of the project, reviewing submittals such as shop drawings with respect to contract documents produced by JPR, pay application review and comments, as-built drawing review and comments, review contractors' closeout documents, operation and maintenance manuals, and confirming warranty information. And there is a provision in there to check in later on at the warranty period once that's up. I would entertain a motion to move forward with this. Brian has been a pleasure, a very detailed person to work with. So I'm looking forward to being the opportunity to work with him on Phase 3, closing out the deal on this project.
Any board questions? If there are no questions, be looking for a motion.
Okay, I make a motion that we authorize as a board concerning the new Station 9-3 that the chief moves ahead with the Phase 3 architectural services for the amount of some, I believe, $111,750.
$760, yep.
$760, thank you.
Can we clarify with who? With JPR?
Yeah,
Okay, JPR.
with JP, yeah.
Support.
Motion made by Trustee Pratt, supported by Clerk Bochamp. Any board discussion? Roll call vote?
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
No.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
All right, great, thank you very much. The fire department is requesting approval for the fire department to join the Kalamazoo, it's a newfound team, Kalamazoo Technical Rescue Team. This is in line with other teams that we're part of, such as the Kalamazoo County Hazardous Materials Team and the Region 5 Technical Rescue Team in the state of Michigan. The entities forming this team would be the City of Kalamazoo, City of Portage, Ashtimo Township, and with approval, Comstock Township. This would allow a uniform approach to response to technical rescues such as confined space, structural collapse, trench rescues. And this would be in line with other agreements that we have in place for mutual aid currently in place. So this takes the burden out of, in my opinion, it takes the burden out of the community to have this response in full. This requires a lot of hands, a lot of equipment, a lot of sheer dedication that we as a one department don't have the depth for, but we can be a component of a multi-jurisdictional team.
Any questions for Chief Bochamp? Treasurer Bloomfield?
You mentioned making sure that everybody was, I guess my question is, are all the policy documents and the internal financial and the procurement policies all set and signed for every municipality that's working with us on this?
Yeah, essentially, how it will look is that all the municipalities are moving forward with the agreement, and anything they're required to They're not required to buy any additional equipment, so we have an equipment stash in place. We have a lot of rope equipment, heavy vehicle extrication. Portage has confined space equipment. Oshtemo has a trench rescue trailer, and Kalamazoo City has a multidisciplined approach. So they're going to maintain and replace that as needed. So we're just responsible for the equipment that we purchase and our personnel's training and liability. So that if we were using Oshtemo's equipment, let's just say, we wouldn't be responsible for replacing it if something happened because it was the right intent. I hope that answered the question.
It did, because
Okay.
I know how things happen with Comstock. Thank you.
Any further board questions?
I have a few. So this is a new agency, and the 4 participating municipalities this is mutual aid beyond those 4. So if there's a technical rescue in, say, Charleston, this group assists with technical rescues, like countywide?
Yeah, and we could even go further. So we currently have members on the Region 5, State of Michigan Regional 5 Technical Rescue Team. So that's all of Southwest Lower Michigan, all the way to Berry County, and then into east to Branch County. And they operate within this region of these, I believe it's 9 counties. But they can go even beyond that to assist other areas. So the backside of the intent of this is to be accredited through the Michigan Mutual Aid Box Alarm System so that we could be deployable statewide. It doesn't mean we have to go, but we could go. But in turn, it allows us not only to get our neighboring departments' assets brought to us, it allows us to get statewide assets brought to us. So if we did have a real big technical incident that was beyond the scope of this team, we could go regionally or even statewide because we're part of the Michigan MABUS agreement.
Any further board questions?
I have a question.
Trustee Amos, microphone.
This is a voluntary program, right? You volunteer to be in this program?
That's correct. None of our members have been forced to go into it. They're all by their own admission would get on the team.
I was just curious, it says withdrawal, it takes 180 days to withdraw from a voluntary program. That seems funny to me.
Part of it is for the credentialing piece for the Michigan MABUS is to know that they got a team that's not going to just call up tomorrow and go, hey, we're not a team anymore. So you're buying in. So we have a team, we're a represented team, and that it's not just an overnight opt-out. Now, if something bad or worse happened that the team needed to, we just wouldn't respond. We're not obligated to respond. So we would let the clock start if we decide to opt out and inform our neighbors. More than likely there would be a reason why they didn't want us there, but there's no requirement to respond. So it's really to get accredited with the Michigan MABUS group that we need some substance to our agreement. But I agree with the point. Well taken.
Any further board member questions? If not, I'd be looking for a motion.
I move for the approval of the fire department to join Kalamazoo Technical Rescue Team.
Support?
Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Clerk Beauchamp. Roll call vote?
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right, so I got a couple other items not requiring business or approval, just more of an informational. Good news is we got tentative approval for a mobile barrier and chassis for over $566,000 through the State of Michigan appropriations request for next budget year. And this was through Senator Sean McCain's office. We had put in the application, worked with his office to see this through, and they made it happen. They got it through. So short of anything weird happening, we should be getting this. And what this will allow us to do is replace our current traffic incident management trailer. Our current trailer can securely block or move traffic for one lane of traffic, and the mobile barrier and chassis can do multiple lanes. So we can park it on an angle and be more effective that way. So it's more protection for our crews and more heads-up notice for the motoring public. So we're really looking forward to that. Everything should be fine, because we've said that before, but in October is the new state budget year, so we'll be looking for official funds and move forward with that. The last item we got is just a sincere appreciation letter from Kalamazoo Township Fire Department on a technical rescue incident they had on July 3rd. There was a heavy wind event, and we responded. Kalamazoo Township is responsible for the fire and rescue services for the city of Parchment, and they called in a bunch of neighbors to help because a very large tree, at least 4 foot in diameter, fell onto a house, and there was a person trapped as well. So it was an over 6-hour technical rescue incident. We were called in to bring in some of our heavy rescue stabilization struts. Departments that responded were Kalamazoo Department of Public Safety, our department. We ended up sending 3 engines and multiple personnel. Cooper Township Fire Department, Portage Department of Public Safety Fire Division, Kalamazoo Township Police, Life EMS, Kalamazoo County Medical Control, and there was thank yous to McDonald's Towing and Rescue, as well as Consolidated Dispatch. So for the record, we wanted that letter to be on there. It shows some of the inner workings that we got, kind of preemptive to the technical rescue team that's now going to be a thing here soon, but who would have thought it could have happened? Happened to the city of Portage, could definitely happen to our community as well. So it's nice to know we have good neighbors that can respond there. So please take time to read that letter. And I believe that's all the business that we have for tonight.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you guys, and men and women, for your service.
Thank you.
Moving along to Clerk Beauchamp for the August 4th primary election.
Okay, just a reminder, there are 3 ways to vote in the August 4th primary. You can vote early in person. Early voting starts this coming Saturday, July 25th, and goes through Sunday, August 2nd. Voting hours are from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day and will take place in this room here at Comstock Township Hall. You can also vote absentee. If you don't have your absentee ballot yet, you can apply for an absentee ballot online at michigan.gov/vote or in our office. Or you can vote in person on Election Day. Polls are open 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. A reminder to those who vote at Precinct 3, which is at Kalamazoo Reformed Church on Comstock Ave. Comstock Avenue is still closed, so plan more time for a detour. As of today, 3,210 absentee ballots have been sent out, 1,208 or 37% have been returned. Also a reminder to all voters that in a primary, you cannot cross party columns. You cannot vote 2 party columns. You can only vote for one party in the partisan section of the ballot. My office will be open on Saturday, August 1st from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. to assist voters with the election. That's all I have.
Any questions for Clerk Beauchamp? Thank you very much. Moving along to Treasurer Bloomfield.
Yes, before the Planning Commission, we have a cell tower that would like to be built on 67 Van Bruggen, which is next to Station 93. And the chair of the Planning Commission asked if I would bring this before you, the board members, to get your opinion on how you think that putting a cell tower right there would affect the sale of that fire station in the future. So that is open for you to give me what you think on that.
Attorney Thal, is there anything in the Zoning Enabling Act that they don't need? Like, obviously they're coming to the Planning Commission for approval, but is there any stipulations that we should be made aware of? Like, if our zoning says that we can they really, are they there at the Planning Commission for site plan approval and you can't really tell them no? It's just that they need to meet the parameters of the site plan, or how does that work?
So the request is before the Planning Commission, and you have to follow the Planning Commission or the zoning ordinance in that regard. So I think the request is just to find out if there's any opinions from the board regarding the matter, but whether that will make a difference, I can't say. You got to go through your standards in your zoning ordinance, and if they meet those standards, then they would be able to construct their cell tower. But they still wanted to have that input as we look at the standards and go through them at the Planning Commission level, just to see if the board had any thoughts or concerns regarding putting the cell tower next to a property that we intend to sell.
And Treasurer Bloomfield, does the zoning allow them to do that?
Yes.
So essentially, they have to meet reasonable standards then?
Yes.
Yeah, they have to meet the standards of there's specific criteria in the ordinance that they have to meet. If they meet those criteria, then they're entitled to proceed with their project. The Planning Commission can put reasonable regulations or reasonable conditions on it. I just throw that out there.
I believe there was one or two things we sent him back with, and we did table that. So I think one of them was the height of the tower was a little taller than maybe, 20 feet, 10 feet higher than normal, I believe was one of them. So we just tabled it till our next meeting.
Trustee McIver, any input?
No, I really don't, thank you.
Clerk Beauchamp?
I don't really have anything to say.
Trustee Pratt?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Trustee Amos?
No, thank you.
Trustee Cherry?
I just had a question. How close to the fire station are they wanting to put it?
It's the lot right next door.
Oh, like 100 feet, 50 feet? Yeah.
They were talking if the wind blew, would it fall over and hit the fire department? Well, if we're going to get a tornado, yeah, that's going to happen. But he was saying that they anchor it deep enough in the ground and with the supports that he didn't see an issue with it. But if you've got high winds, who knows?
The towers are designed, the way that tower is designed is to be self-collapsing. So they put weak points within the tower. If it snaps, it's supposed to just bend over rather than fall over onto another property.
Perhaps maybe depending on who would buy it, that would be, you know, whether or not that would deter a buyer or not. I guess that would be depending on what application they're going to put there. Trustee Cherry?
Is there a real estate agent or somebody that can give us their professional opinion on it?
Our chair is a real estate agent, not commercial, but.
Okay. And the thoughts there is?
My thing is if our ordinances allows it, it's something that we really need to do, or else you end up in trouble not following your ordinances and your policies. So I don't think there's going to be a way to stop it if they do everything that we require.
I would be in support of you doing everything that they, mentioning everything that we could require within reasonable standards, right?
That'd be fine.
So, okay, I was just asked to bring it, so I did.
Yes.
Just to bring up 2 points on the topic, not trying to sway it either way. One is we do have a current cell phone tower at our station 9-2 in close proximity to the station. So just for what it's worth, we are accustomed to that. And 2, at our current station 9-3, we do have a tower that's 140 foot. And if this project went through, I would have to make plans on how to replace that tower, because I'd probably be more concerned about our tower falling over than anything new. Not to sway it, but part of this project, when we move from the station to the new, I am vowing, and as part of our contingency fund plan, is that we're going to remove the tower that's currently, the radio tower that's at our current station, and take it down as part of it. So it's not a public safety hazard should somebody buy the land and not maintain our current tower. So for what it's worth, I can just add that part.
Thank you. Any further questions, comments? Thank you, Treasurer Bloomfield. The first reading of the PUD.
Go ahead, Attorney Thal.
All right, so this is a first read on the planned unit development ordinance, and it's a text amendment to our ordinance. We currently do have a planned unit development provisions in our ordinance, but the Planning Commission determined that they're not very effective, not very useful, and they wanted to put in something that was more useful for developers, provided greater flexibility in design. That's one of the purposes of a planned unit development, is to provide greater flexibility in how you construct a project. It can provide more affordable housing by reducing infrastructure costs, things of that sort. But the planned unit development provisions in our current ordinance were determined to be not very effective. Nobody was really using them. They didn't find those provisions very useful. And so the Planning Commission studied different planned unit development ordinances from other communities and found one that the Planning Commission felt was
appropriate for Comstock Township. They felt that it would be helpful to provide developers with this option and allow them to better use the plan unit development requirements. So the ordinance puts in all different standards for planned unit development. It's an overlay zoning district, so that means you preserve the underlying zone, but then it has flexibility in design in that underlying zoning district. And it's actually a rezone to a planned unit development, which means it would have to go to the planning commission. The developer would have to go to the planning commission, present their plan, have a public hearing. It would then come with a recommendation for or against to this board. So you would actually see the development come forward to you. And as a rezone, then you would have legislative ability to approve or disapprove of that project going forward. And some of the things allows them some greater density bonuses if they do different things like keep open space or have different amenities. But the thing is, it's different than what you currently have, because what you currently have is a special land use. So your PUD just goes to the planning commission, and it doesn't have to come to the township board. They determine the special land use, and that's it. This way gives the board more control and authority over, and over more flexible designs, so that if there is some planned unit development that comes in and requests to be located in the township, it goes to the planning commission public hearing, then to the board for decision. So it's a little bit, it's quite a bit different than what you currently have. But the planning commission looked at a number of different ordinances and determined that this really fit what we were trying to do in Comstock Township, and fit with the just fit with the desires of the planning commission, and they present it for first reading tonight. I'll say one thing. So if you do accept it for first reading, there's two things that I think need to be amended in the PUD, and they're highlighted on page 3 and page 4 of the PUD ordinance. That's 239 and 240. So in here, we have what are called legacy PUDs. Those are the PUDs that exist before this ordinance. And it provides for a list as provided in Appendix A of the ordinance. I've never seen an Appendix A, so we shouldn't adopt the ordinance referencing that last line. So if you wanted to recommend first read, I would recommend first read with the revision that the last sentence on C1 on page 3 is removed. That's Appendix A. And then it would be on page 4 where it's listed as N, the Appendix B, that whole section would just be taken out because we don't have the appendixes showing prior PUDs. I think there may be some in the township, but we don't have the listing attached to the ordinance. So we should take those two provisions out. They're both highlighted in yellow on your copy.
Thank you, Attorney Thaw. Treasurer Bloomfield, do you have any input or insight for the board on this?
I just want to, oops, I'm sorry. I just want to give an example, like for residential PUD, it'd be like instead of 100 homes where they're just all on the street next to each other, like Attorney Thal said, they can leave like 30 acres for like the woods or open space, and then they can, it's pretty much do what they want, but bring it to us before so that they have the freedom. And I was excited about this. I mean, I think that some of our developers in some of our places that we have that available yet to develop, it'd be an exciting thing, and maybe a new developer come in and, work with that. I don't know how any of the other townships are with those, but I think for Township or for Comstock, it was a really good thing that hopefully some of our developers come back to us and start to use it, because it gives them a lot of freedom. Not only that, if the other part of it where it's multi-use, where they'll have like restaurants or shops underneath and then apartments on top, that's kind of what this does also. So, thank you.
Any board questions for Attorney Thaw, Treasurer Bloomfield? If not, I'd be looking for a motion.
I move that we approve first reading of Ordinance 571, zoning ordinance amendment for planning unit development with the revision of last sentence of C1 be removed, which is on page 3, Appendix A, and number N on page 4, Appendix B.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Trustee Pratt. Any board discussion? I just want to say I attended the Planning Commission meetings with the PUDs. It was neat to see a board excited to do something. Both, I believe the Planning Commission was excited to put some creativity into the thought of doing it, and then allow the creativity from a developer to be able to do that. So looking forward to seeing what kind of fruit this bears, and just want to thank the Planning Commission for their work. Anybody else? Roll call vote?
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Motion carried.
All right. Moving along to Supervisor, we have the Casper Street Traffic Calming Study. I'll hand it off to Deputy Supervisor Rockwell.
All right, good evening, members of the board. So you heard during public comment about a little bit of the length that this project has been petitioned for the residents there. Clerk Beauchamp helped me find, which I appreciate. In 2022, after the residents finally got their petition to the road commission and also to the board, 3 of you at the time were on the board. So in November of 2022, you adopted neighborhood traffic management resolution for Casper Street. The Township Board at that time acknowledged some responsibility for funding. And then, again, as some of the residents mentioned, the sort of delays in between. So in the packet, hopefully you had a chance over the weekend to look at the agenda and familiarize yourself with this neighborhood if you're not already. But according to the Road Commission and the Department of Transportation, their neighborhood here, after doing all their traffic studies and investigation, are victims of basically cut through traffic. So the area that's coming off of Eastland, EH Avenue, going south through Casper into their affected neighborhoods of Borges, Pristine, all the traffic from Gull Road, Nazareth, they meet the criteria for what is cut through traffic. So drivers of this areas near to them use these small residential streets in the township to bypass congested main roads. So it degrades the quality of life for the people who've been living there. It increases noise, pollution and risks to the pedestrians and children of the area. So after the engineers sent out their surveys, the area that falls into Kalamazoo Township did not meet the threshold to continue on with this. But for the residents in Comstock, it did meet the Road Commission's threshold from the surveys to support it to move forward. So if you look at in your packets, I'm just going to highlight 2 of the 16 traffic calming measures which the engineers recommended for this, which were the speed humps and the traffic circle in that area. The engineers do not foresee that this speeds or traffic volumes, which are very high and reach almost the maximum levels for residential roads, decreasing. Because of the commercial businesses there on Gull Road and how these people speed down this area to avoid certain of those areas using Casper to get around back to Nazareth or Gull Road. They do not have another way to help these residents except for with these measures. They've looked at alternatives, but this is what their brain trust has come up with. So you did adopt that measure in 2022, and then you heard again the residents speaking about, well, where are we now? Well, that's because that resolution is not enough for them to move forward with the permits and or the funding, if that is what your resolution includes. Since the cost of the other areas at Borges Drive and Pristine didn't have the support from Kalamazoo, and ours did, this cost right now would roughly be about $37,000. So your options, again, with your attorney's input then, would be, and this is also what Jim Hooks with the Road Commission recommended, is to move forward with this. They do believe this is a good project for them to bring to the Road Commission board with their support, and then that would then get added on to the next schedule. I don't believe this would make it, even with them finishing up some of the projects earlier. If you so voted to the 2026 schedule, I just don't believe there's enough time for them to do it before then. So I familiarized myself with that neighborhood quite a bit. I don't, personally know the residents that spoke or anyone else in there, but I've driven it several times since I started to liaise with the Road Commission to kind of capture why this has been ongoing for so many years. And the Road Commission just has no other options for them except some of these traffic calming measures. So your options as they sit would, to be vote for yes, to move forward with this project, incurring those costs with the townships, with our road millages. You could, as an option, pass those on through special assessment if you so choose to those people in the neighborhood. A no vote. The Road Commission has said, with your support though, they would be willing to contract with us, do this project, do the inspections. You would not have to, pay an engineer. You would not have to get it rebid. You would not have to worry about inspections. They would take it to their board as is because they've already done all the groundwork on it. So that, in my opinion. So my recommendation to you, just as someone who's liaised with the Road Commission and looked at it, is to support it. This cut-through neighborhood, they're a victim of just their proximity to these busy roads. You heard some of them speak. There's many more residents who can tell you stories, but stop signs, and these aren't speed bumps like you see in Walmart or Meijer where, you have to slow to complete stop. These are speed humps. So they're keeping in mind that they have residential traffic, but these measures can help with accidents, slowing speeds. But I'm prepared to answer any other questions on behalf of the Road Commission about the project, if you have them.
Could you just speak to how you got to this point and what prompted looking back into this and
Yes, sir.
how you got there?
Yeah, so one of the residents who spoke, Elizabeth, when some of you sent Scott on a 3-year vacation, this is one of the areas that we picked up, just like a couple others. So Road Commission things, I go to the Road Commission monthly already. So I told Supervisor Martin I'd be willing to continue that, work for the residents, because some of these projects just had, no movement and or clarification. So I did speak with the residents about the work that they had already done to get there. And then I met with the engineers at the Road Commission to make sure that all the work that they'd already done, nothing had changed, since 2022 and or since the surveys went out. So I guess as a fourth option, you could, if approved or if you so voted, you could bid this with someone else. That just wouldn't be my recommendation after meeting with their team.
Any questions for Dean? Treasurer Bloomfield?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you start working on this to get as far as you are in such a short time?
I believe Elizabeth left a message for Supervisor Martin.
Yes.
A couple weeks ago, ma'am?
Correct.
Yes, ma'am. So a couple weeks ago, there was a message she left for Supervisor Martin, obviously in the absence of Superintendent Hess. So when she conveyed the length and the years that this project had been, Supervisor Martin asked me to prioritize it. And so hopefully we've done that for at least for your discussion and or hopefully vote. But so about 3 or 4 weeks, ma'am.
Thank you. Good for you both. Thank you for taking the bull by the horns and getting some action done. I would be in support of moving forward with this. But I would like some input from Attorney Thal on using road funds for that.
So you have road funds, which can be used for this project or any other road project that you choose. So, I don't know what you have committed for this year. I mean, that's something that you need to figure out. You can approve a project and then get it scheduled, but you do need to figure out where and in what year those dollars come out. Like, if you have any available dollars for this year, I don't know the answer to that. Whether, you have plans for next year and committed funds for next year, I don't know the answer to that either. But you can, if the dollars are available in your road funds, you can use those for this project.
I am showing about $18,000, so we are short some to do this project. And while we're on discussion, is it okay if I go forward?
Yeah.
I would not be in favor of assessing those residents a special assessment to pay for that. I think that we need to be responsible for that, to do that.
Thank you, Treasurer Bloomfield. Could we allocate some from this budget and some to next year's budget as we're planning and budgeting for next year?
Sure.
How does that work?
Yeah, no, there would be no problem with that. If you wanted to put aside if you have 18,000 still available this year, say, okay, you're going to take that. And then next year, when those funds become available and you're budgeting for next year, you just assign the balance to the project.
And there were a few other phone calls that we got from residents in residential neighborhoods in regards to speeding, and they didn't have the luxury of having this part. So, they were asking for more patrols, road patrols, maybe different signs, radar signs in different neighborhoods. And that just happened to be at the time that a magnitude of different residential complaints came in, asking for our guidance, that this particular one kind of helped pick this part back up. Clerk Beauchamp, is there anything that you'd like to add as far as to catch us up to speed, or anything we should be aware of, perhaps?
It's more a question. I'm a little confused. I read your email was that the road commission had to approve this, but you're saying we need to approve it before the road commission approves it.
Yes,
and then we need to say how we will pay for it. That's what you're saying. But they do not have the time availability to complete this year.
Yes, ma'am, that is correct. Yes,
Okay.
Jim and his team did ask that they have board support, and I think that's the residents of Spain, they kind of thought it was stopping and starting. But yes, they do want a resolution one way or another, for that support and a line of funding, just to ensure to put it on there, just like you guys have mentioned, PAR funds and millage. But yes, they would do that. Then they would take it. Their recommendation, I believe, is already, yes, they would support it, but he would like that step first. Yes, ma'am. And I do, just to point for about, whether the assessment or not, using, the road commission's own assessment tool, the Paiser tool for roads that go from 10 all the way to 4 for ruined roads. The reason, again, my recommendation is we not assess those residents either is because those roads and their heavy use are of no fault of their own. It's not like they started a commercial business there and they've incurred this traffic of their own. Of course, it's just like our neighbors right here on River Street who have the cut through traffic as people try and get, to not only the greenhouses, but down to Sprinkle. So, if we have a road that sees a lot of heavy use, we still use the township, millage in accordance with, MCL 247.670 to pay for all township roads. So that was why my recommendation would not be an assessment just to these residents.
Trustee McIver, do you have anything for us?
No, I agree with not assessing the residents, because it's just, like it's been explained, it's not their fault. But I think it might be a good idea to get it, make it known that we're in favor of it. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Pratt?
Yes, I can see supporting something like this, but I'd like to see something in writing concerning the actual cost. You mentioned, I believe, $37K for this, and so before going further, I'd like to see something from them, from that board.
Yes, sir. I can forward you Mr. Hoekstra's there. He's the assistant engineer for the county. I have his, products, which I can forward to you, as soon as we leave here. Yes, sir?
Could I comment on that?
Yes, ma'am.
In the board packet, page 279, there is a presentation from the road commission, and they do have a forecasted cost where they do lay out the 3 speed humps, 1 traffic circle for $37,000. So that's a forecast. I don't know if they have more definite numbers that they sent you.
No, ma'am. Just because, again, if the, conflict with Iran, there's all the things that we can't control, but, that number is as close as they can until, a resolution and they can start to really, put some action behind it. But that is the current number that Jim gave me, and he said I was okay to brief that number, for the purposes of this meeting, ma'am.
Okay. With that information, I retract my request, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Trustee Pratt. Trustee Amos?
I do support this program. My parents lived on the corner of Casper and H Avenue until they passed away, and I saw police would sit across the street there and everybody would do okay until the policeman left, and they run the stop sign and they run down through there like it's a quarter mile, and it's a terrible place, and it is endangering the citizens the way people drive through there, so I would support it.
Thank you, Trustee Amos. Trustee Cherry?
I am in full support and think we should move forward.
Thank you. And then as far as the R1C housing, there will be more traffic soon to come after construction in that area. So I would be in support of it, as well as obviously the population in that area is growing. I think that there is some unique opportunity to save engineering cost. I do get quite a bit of phone calls from residents that are unhappy, on certain major roads about speed, and oftentimes you listen to them, and then you can just call the sheriff's department, ask for more directed patrols. But this could be an instance where, we don't really just pass it along. We actually have the opportunity to do something with it, partner with the road commission, and I would be in support of it as well. It appears that we would be looking for a motion that utilizes some funding from this year's road budget and potentially next year's road budget. So if anybody so dares, I'd be looking for a motion.
I'll give it a whirl. Okay, I make a motion that we move forward with the Casper Street traffic calming project to utilize the funds from this year's fiscal budget and other funds from the new fiscal year's budget to make up the difference of the $37,000.
Support.
Motion made by Trustee Cherry, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote?
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Trustee McIver?
Yes?
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Thanks for your
Thank
time.
you, Dean.
Thank you, Dean.
Next, we're moving along to the appointment of the Wellhead Protection Ordinance Administrators. And with our municipal water, we do have an ordinance, and that ordinance delegates an administrator. And so my proposal to the board, I wanted to do it, to learn, because I think it would be a good education, but being that it's the planning commission reviews it, I thought that it would be more appropriate for planning and zoning because they're already reviewing it, and then I wouldn't have any oversight or influence on the work from the planning commission. They would be working on it with the zoning administrator. And the site plans and those things are coming through anyways, and they're reviewing that. So I would like to make a recommendation that we have planning and zoning involved in that named administrator. And then for ordinance enforcement, because this is an ordinance, so not only do we need to keep track of new projects coming in, but projects that may be grandfathered in from this ordinance, but that may need to be reminded of the seriousness of the wellhead protection, maybe they may have already been in operation, but they can utilize certain ground mats, certain tools, certain information. But it would be up to our ordinance officer to enforce that. And in the instance someone is violating that, then the ordinance officer could then enforce. So I would like to make a recommendation, and I would be looking for an emotion to appoint planning and zoning, as well as the ordinance official. And I believe that planning and zoning would be broad enough to not name a particular individual, that it could be contracted services from planning and zoning or a hired person from planning and zoning, and then as well as not name a particular ordinance official. Due to that, there may be 2 ordinance officials, there may be staff turnover, different things like that. So I would like to name the positions and not the people. And Attorney Thal, would there be anything reviewing the ordinance that you would have that we would need to be cognizant of?
No, I think that sounds good.
And then the last thing that I would add is with Prine and Newhoff, our engineer, this is one of the things that they're looking for with our agreements and contracts, that we fulfill this part of the ordinance. So I think that that would be just the only thing that we need to do is just appoint those administrators and enforcement.
Just when you say planning and zoning, you're, just to clarify, you're saying the zoning administrator.
Yes, it'd be the zoning
So
administrator.
right now it would be Kyle, but it could be whoever moving forward, just that title,
Exactly.
the administrator.
And then
Okay.
your ordinance enforcement officer.
Gotcha. Okay.
And with that, I'd be looking for a motion.
I move that we approve, or we appoint the zoning administrator and ordinance enforcement officer as wellhead protection ordinance administrators.
Support.
Or, did you say ordinance in there? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't hear it. I apologize.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Trustee Cherry. Would this need to be a roll call vote?
Yes, you should do it by roll call.
Roll call vote?
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Clerk Beauchamp, yes. Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Okay, motion carried.
Moving along to resolution number 26-11 to adopt millage ballot language. I'll hand this over to Attorney Thaw to explain the language and the reasoning behind this.
All right, so you had a current law enforcement millage in place that expired with your last tax collection December of 2025. So you have no law enforcement millage in place for 2026 and moving forward. So this is intended to put on the ballot to renew your law enforcement millage. It was originally set at 1 mil for law enforcement services. It's been reduced by the Headley rollback to 0.9920 mil. And so I just kept it, in drafting this for you, I just kept it at the rollbacked amount. You could recapture the full, go up to a full 1 mil if you wanted to. But I just kept where it was at currently, which is the 0.9920. The proposal would be to renew it up to that 0.9920 mils and levy it for 4 years, 26 through 29. So on the December tax bill for 26 through 29, there would be a law enforcement millage. And then again, it would come up for renewal in the next election cycle in 2030. That's why it's 4 years. I mean, you could go 6 year, you'd want to go in even increments so that you don't have to call a special election to vote on it. It can be during a regular election process. And then in the first year, it's estimated that it would levy about $813,904. To get it on the November ballot, it has to be done 82 days before the November election. So it needs to, probably this or your next meeting, it would have to be approved and sent over to the county.
I believe the date's August 11th, and the next meeting's the 17th, so we would have to do this.
You don't have a.
No, because of the election on
Okay,
August.
so this, I guess, is it.
Yeah.
And this is just to maintain the current millage, which was previously rolled back.
Correct.
Any board questions for Attorney Thaw or Clerk Beauchamp? Being that this is a time-sensitive issue, I'd be looking for a motion.
Move that we approve resolution 2026-11 to adopt millage ballot language.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. Roll call vote?
Supervisor Martin?
Yes.
Clerk Bochamp, yes. Trustee Cherry?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Trustee Pratt?
Yes.
Trustee McIver?
Yes.
Trustee Amos?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Moving along to the sheriff contract and possible action. Before you, we have the sheriff contract. And it is right now looking at 3-year terms. And we were just looking at the, the millages and the time and the offsets and different things like that. And if you read the discussions with the ordinance officer and just a little bit of maybe a lapse in some of our ordinances being recognized by the sheriff's department. That was a contract in front of us. Part of that contract is for the sheriff's department to recognize our ordinances and be of 100% support to our ordinance enforcement officer, which this board then sets the ordinances, and then we give him a job and we expect him to enforce those. And then so if there's any gap in understanding of how we're gonna work synergistically together, and then we have a contract before us, that was for us to have that discussion, whether we would wanna renew it, which I think would be appropriate, and then kind of talk about the terms, and if we were discontent in the services that were rendered per the contract that we're paying for, if there's any mechanism or language that we would claw that back. And in this contract, the way that it's presented, it appears that within a written notice that we could terminate the contract, and it doesn't appear that there's any penalty. It would just be a prorated fee. So that is before us to make a determination on what we would want to do, and this would be particular to the Kalamazoo County Sheriff's Department.
So I have a question, perhaps you can answer. I don't know if you had a chance to talk to Sheriff Fuller, but this contract does say 3 years, I believe is what it is, but since we're possibly having a millage renewed, possibly not, it's kind of a weird time to sign a new contract when we don't know if we have funding for it. So is there a way? Okay.
Yeah, so there is a provision. So it's purports to be for 3 years. I mean, that's the standard term of it, and it can be extended yearly for a couple years after that. But in section 19 of the contract, it also provides a 90-day termination, so that you always have the ability to terminate this contract upon 90 days notice. You just will have to pay any outstanding invoicing from that time frame. So it does give us an out. I would say another thing in section 19, if you do work to approve the contract tonight, it references section 6 in that provision, and it should actually be section 7, not section 6. So I would just note, if you do move to approve it with section 7 in paragraph 19 instead of 6.
And make that in our motion, to amend that?
Yeah.
And that was where this was on my desk, and then the offset in time and some communication between the ordinance officer, but then at the same time, if we don't take any action, then we may not have any services. And obviously, you want a good, positive, productive relationship, and that's why you go into a contract, to hold both parties agreeable to doing what they said they're gonna do.
And the one thing I don't know is what the dollars add up to in this contract. It has what you would be paying, and that I can't answer. You have a millage that raises a certain amount. You have a new contract. I don't know what the dollar amount works out to under your new contract, and to tell you whether or not your millage covers it or not. And I don't know if Brett had crunched those numbers previously. But they probably should.
And being that the millage language was a little bit more time sensitive, obviously I'm sure the sheriff's department and our residents would want us to engage in a contract. Perhaps maybe we could get some clarification, crunch some numbers, provide some spreadsheets to board members before the next meeting, but we did want to bring this forward just to start having the dialogue and the conversation, because I would think at the next meeting we should probably take action. unless anybody has something that I don't know and wants to move forward, we could entertain a motion or just leave it for the next board meeting, and I'll make sure to put it on the agenda. And I can make it a point, if there's any questions, if you want to tell me now, if you think of questions later, I can meet with Sheriff Fuller in the interim and before the next board meeting, and I can address any questions that anybody may have. So just drop me an email or call or let me know.
On this topic, Matt?
Yes.
Obviously, working with the sheriff's office, we're in support of anything we can do to have what we have with the sheriff's office or increase it. Just want to plant a seed that with approval of Station 9-3, that project would be done in January of 2028 per our contract with CSM. We do have a space for a sheriff's office and a place to store one of their cruisers or two, and the sheriff is interested in having that be part of the contract and could essentially benefit the township as well. So it wouldn't be the first year, but years 2 or 3 that could come into the conversation while negotiating on how that looks. So I don't know what the space would look like, but if we're having those conversations, I don't know if we just entertain it when the time's right, or if we have a placeholder in your contract for a later discussion. But just want to plant that seed that that's a part of it. I do know that the sheriff, we've had some preliminary conversations, he's interested. Obviously, we just haven't got to the point of connecting on it, but it may be beneficial for the township as well to have that figure.
And I did make some phone calls from commercial real estate owners and things like that, as far as like price per square footage lease agreements and different to come up with some projected numbers of what those monies would be in order to do that. That's an interesting one to conceptualize. So any input or any suggestions from board members or ideas on how to go about pricing that would go a long way. And I'm glad to have those conversations, and I'm glad to have Chief Beauchamp come along and to have those conversations if we want to try to have those early, or like Chief mentioned, kind of phase that in. So I think that should be something for us to be cognizant of, is that on the offset of spending money, maybe we could generate some back to offset some of the cost. And then when it comes to the financial projections of the millage, seeing how that all shakes out.
All right,
thank you. Okay, so we'll leave that for another day. I just wanted to touch base on the EPS security update. So on the boxes for the EPS security, the boxes for the remotes indicate that they're panic buttons. Ours were set up in a manner that they're panic buttons that end up locking a door. If we installed a button, those panic buttons that were remote would not become obsolete. We would still have the ability to do that. And those remote panic buttons would lock the door and trigger the light. So we wouldn't, essentially at one point we paid for the remote buttons, we wouldn't lose them. We would just have a mechanism in place, perhaps at the front desks, that would, not that the remotes aren't working, but the direct wired would work faster. And then it would give that prompt if they were going to wire it and open up that can of worms. That's where the idea, at the same time that they're pulling ceiling tiles, that the light would go in, just as a good, just what happened the other day in the world. Things can shake out real fast. And so in the instance something did happen, so the remotes would not become obsolete. And then within this bid, there would be a direct button that would be a panic button. I did not ask how to make the remote buttons. I didn't think to ask that, how to make the remote buttons also a door lock and a panic button, but I don't know if there's the ability for the remote ones to be both. I think you can make a remote one be a door lock, but I don't know a remote one can be a door lock and a panic button. So this would give us an option that we would have remote door locks, we would have a direct wired panic button, and then we would have direct wired door locks in conjunction with an indicator light for a peace of mind that you did hit the button in case of an emergency. You look up and there's proof in that. If we wanted, we did get correspondence from a resident that had mentioned they picked Trustee Amos out of the jar of straws, and he had maybe an article in regards to safety. And so if the board, I'd be glad to work with Trustee Amos as well. On the personnel manual, there are some things in there about safety, evacuations, pre-planning. I did have staff kind of ask some questions in regards to that pertaining to some of the instances that were happening in the township. So I don't know if we would want further, it's not like we don't have something in place, but we could potentially have something better. Obviously, it comes with a cost. And if Trustee Amos was so interested, I'd be glad to work with him, and we could maybe go through the personnel manual, come up with a strategy and some drills to practice with staff, and then validate whether or not this would be an appropriate expenditure. So if the board, looks like Jerry's ready to talk, I'll let him have it.
I was just gonna say, yes, I'd be interested.
Thank you, Trustee Amos. So, if the board doesn't want to take action on it, we could possibly just do a little research, do a little homework, validate that it would be something that we would need. I did get correspondence with staff, and I feel like it would give them a peace of mind. Also, at night, when I lock the doors, it would be neat to just look up and know that, when there's a couple things to do, you just don't want to forget. So I would be in support of moving forward now, but I would also be in support of further validation and just some time spent making sure that those parts of the policy are addressed in a good fashion. Trustee Cherry, do you have anything for us? Any comments, insight, direction that you'd like to see us go with this?
Totally support it. Makes sense. So if they wanted to go through tonight, then, so be it.
Thank you. Trustee Amos?
Yes, I would support it.
Trustee Pratt?
I too, I think we should move ahead.
Clerk Beauchamp?
I think we should move ahead as well.
Trustee MacGyver?
Absolutely move ahead.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Now, does that mean you withdraw on doing the rest of the stuff, Jerry, or are we still good to do that too?
No, we're still good.
So if we move forward tonight, we'll give you the commitment that Trustee Amos and I will work through the employee policy manual and make sure that those things were addressed. And on another note, just to kind of maybe add some to the snowball here, Jerry, as far as there is in the employee policy manual, and I believe we could work with Deputy Chief at the fire department. There's a part of a MyOSHA safety manager and a different part and component. If you'd be interested to visit that with me, and then if we need some further support from the fire department, we can ask for help. So we will do that. So in that, I'll be looking for a motion.
I move that we approve the EPS security agreement to add panic and lockdown features.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Trustee Amos. Would this be okay to be a voice vote?
Yes. Yeah.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving along to a Clean Earth Service Agreement. This was added to the agenda. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to add it to the agenda. We share a septic line going out to the road, and that requires some maintenance. And I just want to get board approval. Originally, as I was kind of looking through some documents and trying to figure the pieces of the puzzle out, I thought that this would be much more expensive. I thought it would be likely 5 times the cost. We do not have our own connection to the sewer at the Township Hall. The quote for that is somewhere around $70,000 to possibly $100,000 in order to do that. Being that we have a shared connection, it requires some maintenance. And right now, the reason that it requires some maintenance is that through looking through records, there's a belly in the pipe. And so I'm going to be working with Attorney Thal to develop a maintenance agreement for the shared line. That way we have something in writing. And then on top of that, that would cover some of this clean earth, obviously pending the other party that's involved. So we're gonna need to do some construction work in order to fix that pipe, because the backup problem is coming from likely the belly in the pipe. So there needs to be some construction work and repair done, and there needs to be an indication in a contract on who and how that's gonna be shared. So I'll work with Attorney Thal to draft that and share that with the other party. But in the interim, we need to not have it back up. So this service agreement is for Clean Earth at $550, and then it will cover every 4 months or as needed. There's been times where, talking to Clean Earth, I met them on site today, that every 4 months works, but then there has been some random times by no design that we would need that service as well. When the line backs up, one thing that as I'm talking, I'm kind of realizing, is when that line backs up, Clean Earth would do the clean out from outside to the main line, but sometimes the fixtures inside of the building would also need to be serviced by Roto-Rooter. So I don't know if we would want to add to this motion to go into a service agreement with Clean Earth and Roto-Rooter. That way the exterior's taken care of. Like today, for example, it backed up, Clean Earth came, but then Roto-Rooter had to come in order to do the interior part. Sometimes it works with Clean Earth outside, just due to the circumstances. So being that we have a service agreement, we're gonna have some maintenance, and then we're gonna have some construction and some repair. We do have an easement, a legal easement that I found, so we can maintain that line, and likely the cost to maintain it and repair it is much less than an installation of a new line. We just need to clarify and have some little bit more formal documentation on how that's expected. And then that way, when I'm notified, you know, I have board approval to make sure that the facilities are working. So I would be looking for a recommendation on my motion or on somebody else's motion, preferably, on how we would go about adding Roto-Rooter in for maybe interior and Clean Earth for exterior.
Since we don't have a proposal from Roto-Rooter, perhaps we could just do a motion to authorize you to work with Clean Earth and Roto-Rooter as necessary when these matters arise. That way, it's kind of covered if Roto-Rooter is needed.
Yep.
I know we call them a lot. This happens a couple times a year, so.
Yep. And being that, you know, that way I got board approval, when it needs to get fixed, it's just done. So if there's any questions, I'd be glad to address them. I think we could, I'll have a conference call next week with the engineer to just really validate what would the benefit be of having our own line. But obviously on the other side of that, that would be great. That would be a direct connection. It would be all ours. But on the other end of that, there is the cost. And so we just need to weigh those. And in looking at the service cost, I was thinking it was going to be like 5 times more. And then I would realize that, you know, what's that look like in 10 years? What's that look like in 20 years? But at these numbers, it, you know, being 5 times less, that kind of makes me, you know, we have to think about it. So if there are no questions, I'd be looking for a motion to authorize the supervisor to engage with Clean Earth and Roto-Rooter as necessary.
I move that we authorize the supervisor to work with Clean Earth and Roto-Rooter as needed.
Support.
Motion made by Clerk Beauchamp, supported by Treasurer Bloomfield. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving along to finance, we have reports. We have cash summary by fund, June 2026. We have cash summary by bank account, June 2026. We have the quarterly investment report, second quarter 2026. We have June 2026 sheriff's reports. We have June 2026 CABA reports. And we have bills paid July 21st, 2026. With informational and future action items, we have FOIA request. We'll be moving along to public comments on agenda and non-agenda items. A citizen may state their name and address, may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor, and no other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you'll be making statements to the board without discussion from board members, but you're welcome to make an appointment with a supervisor to discuss your comments further. Contact information is located by the door. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Karen Height. I think the fire department's request to join the technical rescue team is an awesome idea. My only concern is if our firefighters are going somewhere else, because he did mention possibly having to go further out into the state if there was a tragedy, whatever, what does that leave us here? Do they call in the people that are normally off those days because the firefighters here are going there? Who covers us here when they go there? So that's just kind of my question. Is it going to end up that we're going to end up having to hire more firefighters as this progresses? Just a couple thoughts on that. The only other thing I had, and it was actually the only thing I was going to bring up, was when I was coming in tonight, being the wife of a retired HVAC person, the air conditioning condensing units that are outside, there's 6 to 8 of them. I didn't actually count them, but they're filthy dirty. They need to be maintained. They've got all kinds of dust and junk in them that stresses out your unit. So whoever your maintenance guys are, your HVAC guys, if they saw it, they'd cringe. So just for your information, to get somebody to clean them, and they can be usually just hosed down. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
My name is Brady Zimmerman, and I'm representing Cornerstone Construction today. And I just wanted to bring up a few points about the bidding process for the fire station and how we interpreted the qualifications we needed to submit for the bid. We're questioning the matrix qualifications and the specifications. We read those and agreed with each of the notes, but didn't realize it would be a weighted average or a weighted score. I think we did clarify that it would be awarded to the low bidder, and that's how we went into it. So we didn't really put as much time into those matrices that other people did, because we thought it would just be meet these qualifications and low bidders awarded it. The reason we assume that is because typical projects like this, when you bond it, that's your guarantee, right? So you have a surety company guaranteeing that this project will be fulfilled to its entirety, and if not, then they will make restitutions and they'll go after you for money. They'll probably take your house too. So I think that vets all the people that they're bidding, and we didn't really need this matrix qualifier. Now that the recent adjustment to CSM's bid looks like there's $1 million difference between the two bids, and I could probably do a lot of good for other projects. And us being a smaller company, I'd say this job is very important to us, and we would give it our full attention. I don't want to say more so than other people, but that'd be a very big job for us and very important to everyone working there, and give it our best attention. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
I got several messages on my phone after I spoke last time that the mic cut out, so I just wanted to know if you heard everything. I think it was just probably for the media group.
Thank you, ma'am.
John Charlie, 9850 Miller Drive, Galesburg, Michigan. This Thursday is going to be pretty interesting. Got a best proposal program and everything, and I just want to remind people that the people on the Planning Commission and people on this board are not the ones who caused all of the problems that we might be facing with this best station going in. Some of the people, yes, were on the boards and everything, but not everyone. It's pretty sad that I heard rumors that the golf course is sold and it will be going on the golf course. Glad it's not going near the school and everything like that. It'll be on the golf course, but now my home course where I grew up playing when I was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, winning JGA championships and everything like that, varsity golf and everything, it's being sold to a best project station. It's pretty sad. Who to blame? Comstock Public Schools, Comstock Township. Comstock Public Schools put their school right in front of a transfer station that they knew that was going there, and they keep lying. Oh, we didn't know. Oh, we didn't know. Oh, we didn't know. Yes, you did. I was at those meetings. My mom was on the board. She told you guys. It's pretty sad. Now, Comstock Township, you guys are kind of to blame because you let the transfer station and all this other stuff go there. And I understand that was the best for ITC, but it wasn't the best for Comstock Township. It was just like, it was the best for consumers and Jackson Pipeline Company, which is now a Texas Pipeline Company, to put 2 natural gas substations next to my house at 6749 East ML Avenue that used to leak all the time and made my parents sell the house that my grandfather was born in or something like that. It was 120 years old now, that house. And, you know, I wanted to keep it and everything, but talking with my girlfriend, that's my fiance now, we didn't want our 2 kids next to that. You know, it's just pretty sad that previous people on the board and everything just let the people, like the superintendent, the zoning administrator, do whatever they want to do, and I guarantee, allegedly, they probably got cash right in their pocket after they just let everything go up on ML Avenue, and same with ITC, because it was all backdoor stuff in my opinion. Jody Stafor even said in an open meeting, everything like that, oh, I was supposed to watch over that, but I never did. She didn't do her job. Why wasn't she fired earlier? You know, hopefully this actually gets figured out and everything like that, and it actually goes and you guys actually watch everything that's going on and not just send a person to watch it and then it gets blown out of proportion and we don't know what to do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Is there any further citizen comment?
Guess I'll go. Amy Keeler. Boy, $11 million. I just hope you guys can pay these guys that are building this. Because you're so far in debt right now, it's not even funny. Speaking about roads and stuff, on Gall Road there by that 7 Brew and stuff, I've seen 2 accidents there. You guys need more lights up there. If you're gonna be putting all these businesses up there on Gall Road, make it like Westnedge, you're gonna have to put more lights up there. Especially in front of the driveway at Myers and Walmart and all that. People have come close. You guys are putting all these businesses, like I said. Good luck to these guys putting this in. I just hope they get their money. Besides that, we were promised weather radios. I can't remember what meeting that was that Mr. Beauchamp said that he had weather radios for the residents. I haven't seen one of them. Jeannie Kistner hasn't seen one. Nobody's seen one. Where do you get them at? Were they offered to us? No. And really, like Jeannie said one time, there's 2 sides of the tracks. There's the rich side and there's our side. Hard workers, people on Social Security. But you keep on throwing this onto us and onto them. There's 2 sides of the tracks. You work on that side of the tracks. What about this side of the tracks? Putting in speed bumps and stuff on Salary Street and stuff like that. Fixing Salary Street. Nope, can't do that. Because we're on the wrong side of the tracks. And as far as this mess, where are you putting that at? You guys are gonna have an abandoned town here because you're all gonna go bankrupt. Everybody's gonna be selling their houses. There's about 40 people over there now by the golf course, have their houses up for sale. And they're not gonna get the money out of them that they want because people know that this mess is going in there. And I think it's pretty rotten, the way some of you, especially you four, it's money grab, and that's all it is. And we're tired of it. We're glad 2 of you are going to be on the ballot, or just walk off right now. Thank you.
Hello, guys. It's me again, Elizabeth Kucinich. I just wanted to say thank you so much. It's been a hard battle fought for me for 9 years, ever since my youngest was born. He's 9. That's when the person went through my fence, and I was like, that's enough. So thank you so much. To speak about Celery Street or whatever, there is a process that you go through, that you start with the road commission. There has to be studies done. There has to be things completed that I went through that you would have to go through too. Those avenues are available. So just to speak on that. But just thank you guys so much. This will only improve the area. And Dean, thank you so much for your help. Just thank you guys.
Thank you, ma'am.
Jonica Camburn. I just want to say I don't think at the meeting when if Matt Beauchamp said anything about the radios and the weather radios. He may have, I don't know, I'm not aware of that. But Jeannie Kissinger has seen one. I got one from Scott Hess, and I took it to her home myself. She has a weather radio from the township. And I just want to bring up a couple of other things real quick. I know there's been so much talk about people being upset with different people, and I understand that, but at some point, we have to get past it and keep moving and go on and not reiterate the same things over and over again. And something dawned on me the other day that I think maybe some people should give a little bit of thought to. There's been a lot of turmoil or conversation about conflict of interest with Clerk Beauchamp and her brother being on the fire department. And I know that was addressed quite a long while ago by our attorney, who said, no, legally there was not a conflict of interest, which you can agree with that or not. But he did say that. But something dawned on me the other day that Clerk Beauchamp is a property owner here in the township, and whatever she votes for affects her just like it does us. So I don't know why there should be so much consternation over that. It's affecting her too. And I think there's a lot of things that we just need to get past in the township. Okay, you don't like this person, you don't like that person, but we don't need to reiterate it every meeting. Let's get past it and get something done and let people do their jobs and not hold them responsible for what their spouses or their next door neighbor or their aunt or somebody else said. None of us can control each and every individual and what they do. And we cannot just constantly keep going over the same ground and dragging people through the mud. It's not helping us. It's not helping the township. It's not helping anybody. It needs to stop.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello again, Jennifer Moore from Pristine Avenue. I just want to say thank you for the board's support for approving the Casper Street traffic calming measures. Also, Dean, thank you. I appreciated your energy tonight and the traction that you were able to get on the project in such a short amount of time. So again, just want to say thank you, let you know your support was appreciated.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further comments this evening? If there are no further comments, we'll be moving along to members' comments. Treasurer Bloomfield?
No comment, thank you.
Trustee MacGyver?
I have no comments, thank you.
Clerk Beauchamp?
I do have a comment tonight, and I just want to preface it with I do have permission to say this. But beginning August 17th, Deputy Clerk Nicole Shook will be leaving Township Hall and starting a new position as admin assistant at the fire station. Nicole has been an incredible asset to our township team. She's worked 3 terms with 2 different clerks. She taught me a great deal about elections. She's diligent, detail-oriented, and conscientious, and will be a tremendous addition to the fire department. I'm grateful to have had her on my team for the last 6 years and wish her the best of luck. And I do hope an exit interview will be conducted, and it will provide meaningful insight into why we keep losing talented employees at Township Hall.
Thank you, Clerk Beauchamp. Trustee Pratt?
Thank you, nothing tonight.
Trustee Amos?
I'm good, thanks.
Trustee Cherry?
No, thank you.
I just want to mention that we got correspondence back for the block grant. It's upwards of $800,000, and it looks like that's able to move forward. And our vendor partner that helped initiate this with the township to set sail on this, somehow in the state process, they were not on the approved list, and we were able to, Deputy Supervisor Rockwell and myself were able to work with the state of Michigan and the community partner, and we were able to rectify that they made an oversight, and that partner community development organization is now on the list, and then we're able to pick things up and move forward from where we were. So that will help provide, I believe, at upwards of 10 to 40, Dean, is it 40,000 maximum?
On the high end, yes.
On the high end, for homes, particularly focusing on safety. And that would be low-income qualifying individuals. That would be upwards of $1,000 to $40,000 for home improvements. And then my other comment is, you know, we had the discussion about the public comment, possibly removing one comment, and removing one comment, and then we decided to not, you know, of the two, to not remove one and keep one and add it for agenda items only. I will say that I'll admit when they're at the mic and then we're able to, and so when people start talking and it's agenda items only, it is a little difficult at the very beginning to indicate in what direction that they're going and whether they're going to do a loop around to where they tie it back into the agenda. So, you know, I do get the look from other board members. I appreciate that. I know we went into that agreement that that is what it is. I don't know if we would want to consider that, but it is a little bit difficult in the early stages of the direction that they're heading. They might loop back around. They might start a little off topic, but then loop back around, and then they're in the middle of their talk. And at the very beginning of the board meeting, if we're kind of setting the tone for a good, productive meeting, do we really want to stop and interrupt people and say, hey, no, you can't say that, you're going to say it at the end, and then they're going to just say it anyways at one point? So, you know, I would entertain a discussion at the next board meeting, whether we would just stay true to what we said we're going to do, or if there would be any parameters that we may want to talk about that would just open public comment up for public comment at the beginning, public comment at the end, and then we don't really have to sit here and kind of wonder what they're going to say, or just let them talk. And I would be in support of removing that provision. And other than that, a good productive meeting. We got some stuff done, and this meeting is adjourned. The whole thing.